morning, everyone. We ready to go? Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Calling the roll for the Monday, January 29, 2024 Board of Control meeting. It is 11:02 a.m. We have Councilmember Meredith Turner,
Here.
Councilmember Dale Miller,
Here.
Trevor Meckler serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones Jr.,
Here.
Mike Dever,
Here.
Catherine Gallagher serving as an alternate for Chris Renee County Executive,
Here.
Mike Chambers, Fiscal Officer, serving as chairman,
Here.
Paul Porter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the review and approval of the minutes from January 22nd. I will make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Any public comment?
No public comment?
Let's go to our first item.
First item, BC 2024-65, Department of Public Works recommending to amend Board of Control Approval Number BC 2023-820 dated December 18, 2023, which approved an authority to apply for grant funds and submission of a grant award from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for the Beulah Park Euclid Beach Connector Trail in connection with the Cuyahoga County Lakefront Public Access Plan in the city of Cleveland by changing submitting a grant award to submitting a grant agreement, amount from $70,000 to $150,000, the time period from December 18, 2023 through December 17, 2025, to effective upon signatures of all parties through December 31st, 2024, and the funding source distributions as listed on the printed agenda.
Good morning, everyone. Tom Pavich, Public Works. This first item is an amendment to a previously approved board item cited the Euclid Beach Connector Trail Project. This item is changing from the authority to apply for the grant to actually submitting the grant agreement, and there are some changes in the funding sources as well.
Thank you, Mr. Pavich. Are there any questions from the board on this item?
Yes, what's the difference between a grant award and a grant agreement?
The grant award, are you referring to applying for the actual grant?
The description said that we're changing, submitting the grant award, submitting a grant award to submitting a grant agreement.
I can answer that.
What's the significance of that change?
The difference is a grant award does not require a signature by the parties.
Oh, I
A
see
grant
what you mean.
application, a grant agreement does require.
And to add a little bit, I think when this one came forward initially, we didn't have the agreement in hand yet, but the award letter was in hand. That's why it was submitted that way.
Okay.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Meckler. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-66, Department of Public Works recommending an award and enter into a contract with PSX Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $49,999 for parking lot equipment maintenance and repair services at various county parking facilities for the period January 10, 2024 through January 9, 2026.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, again, Public Works. This is an award recommendation to PSX. This was a competitively bid, informal bid for contract. PSX and the bid specifications, they'll provide preventive maintenance and repairs for the county's 5 parking lots that we own and manage. It could be the parking gates, the machines, the ticket takers, such as that. It's an as needed. We did bid this out as a not to exceed for up to $50,000.
Thank you, Tom. Are there questions from the board?
Couple questions.
Yes.
Have we contracted for these services before, and is it the same vendor or a different one?
We have, this is an ongoing contract that we always have. This is the same vendor. It's a smaller market. You know, we do bid it competitively. We try to get a good vendors list together, but it is a smaller market. God bless you. Vendors that provide actual repair services to those machines. A lot of it has to do with the actual boxes that takes the ticket, so there's some electronics involved as well.
And why is nobody other than this one firm willing to bid on this? We sent out 21.
Again, it's a smaller market. Of the 21 vendors, some of them may not be able to provide the specifics of what our bid specifications are. You know, we require vendors to be on call within 24 hours to come on site and do the actual repairs. Not all vendors may be able to provide that service. But of those 21 vendors, not all of them are most likely applicable to what our specifications are.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-67, Department of Public Works, on behalf of the Medical Examiner's Office, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Oxford Instruments America Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $52,706 for maintenance services on 3 Aztec Energy Dispersive X-ray spectroscope instrumentation effective upon contract signatures of all parties for a period of 3 years for the Cuyahoga County Regional Forensic Science Laboratory and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Thank God we don't have to say that 3 times. Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. Dispersive X-ray spectrometers are used in our trace evidence lab for material and chemical analysis. This is a 3-year maintenance agreement on that equipment.
Okay, thank you, Hugh. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mike Dever. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-68, Treasurer's Office submitting an amendment to a contract with Stanford Road Advisors LLC for various services in connection with the county solicitation for a banking and treasury services contract for various county departments for the period April 4, 2023 through April 3, 2024, to extend the time period to June 30, 2024, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $5,000.
Good morning, Dominique Tatum, Fiscal Department. This is an amendment to the Stanford and Royal Advisors contract. We're just extending the contract until the end of the June and adding $5,000 to help with the CRA requirements.
Thank you, Dominique. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Second by Mike Dever. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-69, Department of Information Technology submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Above and Beyond Electronics LLC in the amount not to exceed $31,095 for 10 Polarity server licenses, 1 Polarity client license, and 1 Polarity support services license for the period December 9, 2023 through December 8, 2024, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Dennis Sullivan, Department of IT. Solarity is used by our security team. It helps identify intrusions, incidents, and it also identifies possible systems throughout the whole county that may have been affected by such incident. This originally was bid out prior to the expiration date, and there was a funding issue. So we ultimately rolled to 24 funds, and just for an FYI, an informal bid identified Above and Beyond has the least expensive by $1,100 over the next vendor.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-70, Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Court Division submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Esperanza Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $96,690 for mentoring and positive youth development services for court-referred youth ages 14 to 17 with high risk for recidivism for the period July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Chair Brown, Juvenile Court. So this is one of our new contracts, 100% funded by Reclaim. It offers positive youth development services for kids that have issues with gun violence, conflict resolution, trauma, and anger. It's uniquely equipped to serve the Latinx community. This particular contract is late. The vendor reported to us they had some difficulty with the supplier portal. So obviously if they're not in there, we can't initiate the approval process, but they were written into the grant. And so we still think we can get them enough referrals before it expires. So we want to move forward with it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mike Dever. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-71, Sheriff's Department submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to BRM Ohio Management LLC, DBA The Family Pet Clinic, and the amount not to exceed $10,000 for routine veterinary services for the Correction Officers K-9 unit for the period January 29, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Chris Costin. This is a not-to-exceed PO for our jail canine dogs. Currently, we have 2 in service, and we have 4 more in training right now.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Mr. Mackler.
Chris, do you know if this will include the additional canines that are being, that'll be eventually brought on board?
As of right now, our estimate is to include them. We only spent like $2,500 last year on the 2, so this should cover
All of them?
all of them.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item's approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-72, Sheriff's Department recommending award and submitting a purchase order with the Metro Health System in the amount not to exceed $485,000 for reimbursement of off-site medical services for inmates for the period January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024.
Chris Costin, Sheriff's Department. This is a purchase order for our outside medical costs through Metro Health. It's different from the current medical contract that we have for in-jail services.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Are there questions from the board? Councilwoman, please.
Could you give me an example of what outside services?
Yeah, so right now, most of our medical services are within the jail. If we have to send them out for dialysis or something to a Metro satellite office, that's where the outside costs come in. You're welcome.
Are there any follow-up? Seeing no further questions, I will make the motion to approve the item. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-73, Sheriff's Department submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Vance Outdoors Incorporated, DBA Vance's Law Enforcement, and the amount not to exceed $196,870.30 for a state contract purchase of 1,033 cases of duty and training ammunition for law enforcement officers, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Chris Costin, Sheriff's Department. This is our 2024 annual purchase of duty and live ammo for our law enforcement.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-74, Medical Examiner's Office submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Pippet Pros LLC and the amount not to exceed $6,298.25 for annual calibrations and certification services for various single and multi-channel pipettes for the Regional Forensic Science Lab, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Hugh Shannon, Medical Examiner's Office. We do biannual calibrations of the equipment in the laboratories. The pipettes were used to extract samples for testing. So twice a year they're calibrated to make sure that we're up to the accreditation standards.
Thank you, Hugh. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-75, Medical Examiner's Office submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Lake Balance Calibration Solutions in the amount not to exceed $7,070 for calibration services on various lab equipment, calipers, analytical weights, and centrifuges, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Hugh Shannon again. Very similar. So we need these calibrated, the various scales throughout the building, in the laboratories, and the other equipment that's used in multiple laboratories to make sure that we maintain the standards.
Thank you again. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mike Dever. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Thank you. Next item.
Next item, BC 2024-76, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, on behalf of the Local Emergency Planning Committee, recommending to amend Board of Control Approval Number BC 2023-195, dated April 3rd, 2023, which approved an authority to apply for grant funds from the U.S. Department of Transportation, Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, in the amount not to exceed $34,500 for the FY 2022 Hazardous Materials Emergency Preparedness Grant Program Year 2 for the period October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024, to change the time period to September 30th, 2023 through September 29, 2024, and submitting the grant agreement.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety. The reason for the change is when we initially submitted the grant application, we used the dates that were in the notice of funding opportunity. And then when the grant agreement came in, it actually had shifted the performance period by 1 day.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item, exemption BC 2024-77, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Children and Family Services, recommending to amend Board of Control Approval Number BC 2023-561, dated September 5th, 2023, which amended BC 2022-767, dated December 12th, 2022, which approved an alternate procurement process resulting in purchase orders to various licensed providers in the amount not to exceed $500,000 for reimbursement for out-of-home care placement services for the period December 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024, by changing the amount not to exceed from $500,000 to $1 million.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services on behalf of Children and Family Services. Again, this is an amendment to add additional funds to our alternative procurement, which allows us to pay new vendors while we add them to the master agreement for out-of-home care residential services. Again, this allows us to pay them instead of bringing forward time-sensitive mission criticals.
Thank you, Marcos. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Mike Dever. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The item is approved. Moving on.
Consent agenda items are BC 2024-78 through BC 2024-81.
Okay, board members, feel free to ask any questions on any of those items. Okay, well, seeing no questions, I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as listed. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Turner. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda items are approved. Moving on to other business.
No other business?
Any public comment?
No public comment?
I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All in favor to adjourn, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.